What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well, staying safe and healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I really hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the weekly Sunday wastewater update for the first Sunday in September, Sunday, September 3rd, 2023. Starting off this week, we're going to start out by looking at BioBot, and you can see here on BioBot, there are some changes from the last wastewater update that we did. The Northeast and the West Coast, they are still rising. The South, according to this, is dropping slightly. Would not surprise me if we see that get corrected, as we're still seeing news stories of COVID outbreaks in the South, and the Midwest is now rising again. Taking a look at the latest variants in wastewater, and I'm going to move myself to the left for the remainder of the video. The latest variance in wastewater, 14.1%, is the EG.5 variant. That FL 1.5.1 is not showing up in the wastewater data. At least they're not accounting for it here on this website. And then, interestingly enough, they do have that XBB 1.16 at 27.5%, which I find to be rather odd because we know the CDC has it at a completely different level, and I can show that to you right here. You can see the CDC has EG.5 leading the way at 21.5%. All right, let's move over to the CDC map. We're going to use the CDC site, and we're going to use wastewater scan for a few locations that maybe have a larger population and update more frequently. I think today we'll go back to starting in the Northeast just for today. We'll make our way to the South and to the West, and we'll try and cover as many sites and states as possible. We're not going to try and get caught up in one area and then forget to do another area like has happened in the past. So let's start off with the Northeast. And first off, let's just read off this national number here. And you can see here, new sites, they're the ones that are in the white. 91. 0 to 19%, there's 123 of them. And then you have 403, 20 to 39%. That's like the middle shade of blue. Then you have this real light shade of blue, which I think should be a different color, but is what it is. 40% to 59%. That's at 400. And then, unfortunately, there are now 295 orange sites at 60 to 79%. And there are now over 100 red sites at 104, which are 80 to 100%. And right off the bat, we're going to see some of these red sites up here in the Northeast. You can see up in northern Maine, there are some red sites. Good news is, at least the first one that we looked at is dropping a little bit. But again, it's in the red, so that's high transmission. Here's another one that's high. Let's come down closer to Portland, Maine, and see what's going on there. Cumberland County, it's flat at this time. And be mindful, sometimes you're going to see sites that come up white, but they're not actually new. I don't understand why that happens sometimes. Like this site, for example, it's coming up white, but if you look here, it started all the way back in June, so technically that's not new anymore because we're now into September. And look at this site. It's been going up. That's not good. We'll do one more in Maine. And here's York County, Maine. This is a big tourism area. All these are big tourism areas, especially Labor Day weekend, and doesn't update that frequently. Then we come down here to Rockingham, New Hampshire, and that one is rising. Let's go west to Grafton, and you can see in Grafton, 11,000 population, rising at this time. Full disclaimer, some areas more than others are areas where there are a lot of private wastewater sites, so keep that in mind. Maine would be that way. You're going to see some areas in Pennsylvania as well where private wastewater pretty much, it's not, COVID would not be detected in the wastewater. Shitterton, this is Burlington, and we have multiple red and orange sites there now. And here's another one with 30,000 population. It's rose pretty rapidly and now starting to drop ever so slightly. All right, let's come down now and take a look at Boston. And for that, we have to go to the wastewater scan site because this updates more frequently. And we can see in Boston, COVID on the most recent update has dropped pretty significantly. But check this out. This is something you're going to be seeing. This is one of the reasons why we're doing the wastewater scan sites. Influenza is now starting to rise in the metro Boston area, and this is a big wastewater site, 2.4 million people. So this is something we'll have to keep an eye on, is influenza. It's coming in early this year. We know the CDC website, and I can show that to you right here. At least down in the south, it's already starting. So we're going to be looking for it in wastewater in various different places across the country. RSV in Boston, not an issue yet. HMPV, not an issue. No Mpox. And norovirus, it is starting to rise ever so slightly. Alrighty, coming back to the CDC site. Let's come down here to Providence, Rhode Island. This is in the red, but it's 240,000 population, but it is dropping slightly at this time. Coming over to New York State, let's go for Saratoga. That's not Saratoga. Here's Saratoga. Saratoga, believe it or not, is now dropping. And that's actually a surprise because they just had the big race season. But you know what? They had a pretty substantial rise for a while, but now it's dropping. So this is some good news. And I do believe the race season is now over there. Niagara, New York, 31,000 population. It's in the red, and it is starting to rise again after a substantial drop. And you can see Western New York in general. There's a lot of orange sites. Even, yeah, for the most part, most of these are rising. Here's one that's dropping ever so slightly, but you get the point here. There are a lot of orange sites there. Even if the ones that are dropping, they're still in moderate to high transmission at this time. Wow, this one is in central New York. That one's rapidly rising. Then we come down to Dutchess, and yes, that's rapidly rising. Let's do Connecticut real quickly. Unfortunately, you're seeing a lot of gray here, and I forgot to tell you this in the beginning of the video. Gray represents did not update or outdated data. So you can see here, Hartford at the time of this update, it's dropping at this time. New London, it's still rising ever so slightly. We'll have to see what the holiday weekend does for that. And this whole corridor there, that 95 corridor, big beach area, likely crowded this weekend. Fairfield, Connecticut. Wow. Literally going straight up still in Fairfield, Connecticut. And there's another Fairfield, Connecticut that's dropping. We do have a red site for another Fairfield, 45,000 population. That is going straight up. Then we take a look at Westchester, New York, and that is dropping at this time. All right, let's do one Long Island. Here's Nassau County. That one's going straight up. Now let's just quickly run through New York City. Closer to Manhattan, dropping. Slightly rising at this one. Bronx, dropping. Queens starting to rise again. That's not good. Queens starting to rise again. Kings dropping. This is 1 million population. That's a big site. Another Kings dropping. Dropping. Queens dropping slightly. Dropping slightly in Queens. Here's another Kings that's still continuing to rise. Dropping slightly again in Kings. And how about Staten Island? Well, the north side is dropping. What's the south side doing? Starting to drop. So the majority of the sites in New York City are starting to see a drop. That's good, but we do know BA 2.86 is waiting in the wings. We'll have to see if that does anything in the coming weeks. North Jersey, wow, there's a lot of red and orange here. This is not good. Hudson County, New Jersey, literally going straight up, and it is already in the red. Here's another Hudson County that's dropping, but that other one was bigger population. And you can just see here, we're just going along here. There's a lot of red and orange, even if some are slightly dropping. Still terribly concerning. All right, Monroe County, Pennsylvania. 25,000 population here. Here's another that's 4,000 population. I made a tweet on Friday. A huge number of people go into the Poconos for Labor Day weekend. Interstate 80 has been just Friday and yesterday, just westbound, going into the Poconos, just jam solid traffic. So we know the Poconos are packed right now. We know there's a lot of private wastewater, mountain houses, lake houses on lakes. There's a lot of that up in the Poconos that does not get detected by wastewater. So anytime we already see it at moderate, that's not a good thing. And these ones that are leveling off, wouldn't surprise me if they went higher again just because of the holiday weekend. Taking a look here in southeast Pennsylvania, a lot of these sites are not updating frequently, but again, there's a lot of moderate to red down here. Even the ones that are dropping, the point is they're still moderate to red. It is relatively concerning. Here's a Delaware County one that's going straight up. How about Newcastle County, Delaware? 539,000 population. It is going up. Let's go deeper into Delaware. Kent County, Delaware. Wow. This one is just going straight up. How about down by Rehoboth in Sussex County? Yep, going up there as well, and it is red and orange. Here's another place that is interesting. Center County, Pennsylvania. At this time, is dropping, but mind you, they just had a major football game at Penn State yesterday. 107,000 people, so that's something we'll have to watch in the coming weeks. And let's go down here closer to the D.C. area, and you can see here, Arlington, 232,000 population, slightly starting to rise. How about D.C. itself? All right, this site, smaller one, is dropping at this time. How about this bigger site? Nope, that's not the bigger site. Here's a bigger site, 1.6 million. And this was rising, now it's starting to level off a little bit. So that's good to see. Virginia, what can I say? I'm seeing a lot of red here. Here's one near Bedford that's rapidly rising. Another one that's rapidly rising. This one's dropping, and Halifax is dropping ever so slightly. Richmond City, how about that Richmond City site? Leveling off a little bit, but again, you're in the red. And we come down here near Newport News and Chesapeake City. Yeah, dropping slightly, but again, these areas are still in the orange, so that's not good to see. Now let's take a look at Ohio. Carroll County, Ohio is rising ever so slightly. Let's come up here closer to Cleveland. Lake County is rising. Actually, no, Lake County is now dropping, so that's good to see. It was rising last week. Looks like they finally updated that site. Franklin County, continuing to rise. That is Columbus area. What's going on down near Cincinnati? Butler's rising slightly. Hamilton, though, is now dropping, so that's encouraging. Let's come down here to, let's go to Indiana now. What's going on there? Indiana is 86,000 population at this site in Hamilton County, Indiana. And it was rising, but doesn't look like it updates all that frequently. Marion, this one is rising ever so slightly still, and it's orange. It may turn red. We'll have to see if that levels off. Let's go up to Michigan. Eaton County, this one has leveled off. It is in the orange, though. I'm seeing another orange. And this one's dropping, and I'm seeing yet another orange. Isabella, that's flat. It doesn't look like this updates all that often, and unfortunately, Detroit area is not updating that often. Hopefully we can get one. Well, here's one that's looks like it updates more frequently. It's rising ever so slightly. And Oakland, Wayne. Okay, this is the bigger population. And you know what? This one's dropping at this time. Let's come over here to Chicago. Let's just do a whole bunch of Chicago. Lake, rising. Cook, rising. There's a bigger Cook here somewhere. Dropping ever so slightly after a sustained long-term rise. We come down, here's another smaller Cook dropping. Here's a moderate one for Will. This one is still rising. Kendall, still rising. Let's go north a little bit. Boone, this one's still rising. We come down here to Fulton County, Illinois, slightly rising. This one is slightly rising. Wow, Champaign is rapidly rising. And this one is slightly dropping. Now we'll come up to Wisconsin, then we'll finish, then we'll go down to the southeast. This one is rising, red. That one's not too concerning. Not too concerning. Jefferson, not terribly concerning, dropping. Here's one that is, we're getting closer to Milwaukee now, I believe. And some of these are rising, so that is not good to see. Walworth, wow, rapidly rising. That could turn orange in the next week. All right, let's go down to the southeast. Kentucky, can I show you anything from Kentucky? Here's Jefferson County, Kentucky. Also does not update all that frequently, and it is flat at this time. How about North Carolina? Not much I can say. There's a lot of red here, and we're just clicking on these red sites, and we're seeing they are rising. Not good. Halifax, rising. There's another one that's Pitt, rising. Wilson, rising. Yeah, relatively concerning in North Carolina. Then we come down here to a metro, Charlotte, and Charlotte is still rising, but not as fast. Here's one that's dropping. Here's another one that's dropping. So some of them are dropping there. In Atlanta, we're seeing a lot of orange and red here. This is not good to see. Not good at all. We could actually go to Wastewater scan, but we'll skip that for now. Take a look at Orlando, Florida. Yes, you're still seeing some orange and red here. Florida, believe it or not, we're in September now, which is unusual. Florida has not yet peaked. You may see some sites here that are dropping slightly, like this one's not updating all that frequently. Let's go to wastewater scan now, shall we? And we'll come down here and take a look at one site in Florida. Then we will make our way to the west, then to the west coast, and then finish. We're going to finish today in the Midwest. We have to do Minnesota. So here's eastern Orange County. Rising overall for COVID. Influenza not detected, RSV not detected, HMPV not detected, Mpox, and norovirus not detected at this time. Or actually, excuse me, norovirus is rising at this time. Mpox is what's not detected. So we are seeing an increase here. Look at this. Norovirus has been on the increase. And that's concerning to see because we know that can be pretty serious when you start talking about nursing homes. And sometimes nursing homes have to go on lockdown. Let's take a look at Orleans, New Orleans, Louisiana. Dropping slightly at this time. And it is close to the moderate stage, but it's not orange. Then we come up here to central Louisiana, 60,000 and rising. Texas, we are seeing some red here. Look at all these red ones. And they're not updating that frequently, unfortunately. Here's one that is Harris County, smaller Harris County. It's rising still, and it is already in the red. There's another Harris and another Harris. So Harris at this time is still rising. How about Dallas? A mixed bag in Dallas. You can see here, here's Tarrant County. This is actually a bigger indicator, 1.2 million. Yeah, it's really rising. Here's another Dallas. Doesn't update that frequently. And finally, we'll end Dallas on this one. This one is rising relatively quickly. How about Oklahoma? I'm seeing a Garfield is dropping, but it is moderate at this time. Let's come over here to White County, Arkansas. Arkansas, yeah, you're in the red and rising there. Washington County, Arkansas, red but rising. Yeah, all these ones that are in the bad colors seem to be rising. How about Missouri? What's going on there? Missouri, yes, we do have some concerning levels. St. Louis is rising, and St. Louis, you'll see this, I believe, if we do a pandemic update today, St. Louis is reporting an increase in cases. Let's go west, shall we? Now coming out here to New Mexico. There's a site that's rising. Here's another site that's rising. And how about up in Colorado? Okay, not too concerning in the Denver area. Here's one that is rising though, but the others, I believe, don't update all that frequently. Alright, here's El Paso. This one is dropping. Here's another El Paso. Looks like it is relatively flat now. Here's Garfield, Colorado. That is rapidly rising. Alright, let's come out here to the west coast, shall we? Riverside. This one doesn't update all that frequently. Again, California is another state we would have to use wastewater scan, and that pretty much goes for the majority of these. We're not going to wastewater scan all of these. We will do some of that during the week. During the pandemic update, we'll give some more attention to California, just simply because there's a lot of sites here. We could literally do a whole video on just California sites, and that includes wastewater scan, which has a ton of sites out there. Coming down here to, let's at least take a look at the LA area and see what's going on. Coming down here to Orange County. Orange County at this time is, they're actually in the orange, so that's not good. Los Angeles is in the orange as well, and they're flat at this time. Let's come up north here. Let's do some sites up here in North Pacific Northwest, and you can see here, Lincoln is dropping at this time. We're just going to randomly go through these. Lane is a small population, but it is rising at this time. Coos, hope I'm saying that correctly, is slightly starting to rise again, so that's not good to see. And we actually are seeing some sites here. Let's see. Down here, close to California. This one, Jackson, it's dropping at this time, so that's good to see. Another Jackson, 133,000 population, and it's starting to level off. I think eventually it's going to start going up. Here's Pierce County, Washington. Wow, that's really going up. That's not good to see. Island is at 24,000 population, dropping at this time, but you are still listed as orange, and this site's listed as orange. And Whitman, wow, this one's in the red, and it is rapidly rising at this time, so that is not good to see. Benton, leveled off. Franklin is dropping at this time, 73,000 population in Franklin. And Ada, this is now in Idaho, it is dropping at this time. Then we come up here to Montana. Montana slightly dropping at this time. And let's go over here to the Dakotas. Pennington, 80,000 population, slightly dropping at this time. Then we come over here to Blade. Is that how you say it? Blade, 13,289 population. And unfortunately, you are rising at this time. Grand Forks, North Dakota, is 67,000 population and dropping at this time. Stark, 25,000 population and slightly rising at this time. And finally, today we will do two more states. Actually, three more states. Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota. York County, Nebraska is dropping at this time. We do see a lot of red, though. So in these places, well, here's one that's still Stanton and Madison, which is still rising at this time. Here's Holt. That's rising as well. We're seeing a lot of red sites here. Let's go over to Iowa. In Iowa, some of these sites do not update all that frequently. You can see some are in the orange, some are in the blue. Here's one that's in the blue that is slightly starting to rise. And now let's end up here in Minnesota. Unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of gray here, meaning sites not updating, and some more of these will probably be added to the gray. Here's Dakota. Here's another one that's rising. Here's an orange site. Again, up, down, that doesn't update all that frequently. And let's end here. Let's try and find a good note today. Let's find a site that is dropping. Here's one. St. Louis, Minnesota. St. Louis, Minnesota at this time is dropping. Alrighty, guys, that does it for this week's edition of the Wastewater Update. Sorry I couldn't get to every site on the map. There's a lot of them. There's hundreds of them. And keep an eye during the pandemic update if you live in California. We are going to go do a deeper dive into California with the wastewater scan. We're going to do multiple sites in future upcoming updates. Will there be a pandemic update later today? I don't know. Stay tuned. Keep checking back. I may put something together. I may put a shorter edition of the pandemic update together this afternoon. Check my other channel at Climate Data Report. I think it's safe to say there's going to be an update there later on today as well. There's several things to talk about. Alrighty, guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. If you know anyone that would enjoy seeing these videos or need a reality check that the pandemic is not over, by all means, send them my way and share these videos. Alright, I'll see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching.